Alright, so we've pulled back and it's time to move on to drawing the shonen version of the character. The main difference, I think, is really going to be in the eyes, and watch how much smaller they are compared to the ones we just drew. First of all, this line is higher up, the guideline that we're using, but even within that guideline, I'm keeping the eyes pretty small, in relation to the eyes surrounding it, or the lines surrounding it, I should say. And I find that the shonen style is a little harder to pin down in terms of, like, when we see shoujo, I think we immediately recognize a certain style that looks quite similar from one manga to the next. Whereas with shonen, my feeling is that there's a wider variety, and it's harder to say, oh, all shonen sort of have these characteristics. I think it seems to me a little harder to make those generalizations. But generally speaking, the eyes are going to be smaller. They're going to be a little narrower. The irises correspondingly end up smaller. But it seems like even within that, the already smaller eyes, the irises themselves are proportionally small even within that. I am going to go ahead and add a fairly similar looking fold of the eyelid line up here. And let's move down to doing the nose. As I said, it sort of falls in the same basic place. I believe the nose gets a little more defined more often than not in the shonen style. So you may see more lines here at the bottom for like the nostrils and so forth. And then coming down to the mouth, quite a big difference. You see these very full lips over here. Again, some people will say, boy, that doesn't even look like a male character over there. It looks like a female character to me. And to be sure that such is the case in a lot of these shoujo comics, but the shonen comics are maybe going to be a little more careful about not allowing there to be any confusion about whether this is a male or a female character. And then I have given a little bit of a line for the upper lip here, but for the lower lip, I'm just going to drop a tiny bit of a dot almost there for delineating that. And that's going to probably do it for me in terms of drawing that mouth. So basically the eyes and the mouth, I think, are the real big difference between the two of these drawings. And now I'm going to go on and do the hair. Now I've decided for the hair to go all out and really show some big time differences between these two drawings, at the risk of showing what people might say are two different hairstyles. I find that it's pretty unusual for this kind of hair to show up in a shonen comic. Unless they just decide to make a character with really flowing hair like that. It seems to me the shonen, the boys-oriented comics, the hair ends up being spikier all the way around. And so that's basically what I'm doing here, and I'm not going to, again, make the whole video about the hair. I think this video is getting long enough as it is. I'm going to have to really try to move faster on this second one. But I thought you would at least want to see in real time some of the basic guidelines that I want to put down for drawing this. Oh, and let's go ahead and do the ears, because I told you that in the shoujo style, I had seen that the ears came out quite a bit from the head, and in the shonen style, it seems like they're a little more pinned back, or even just anatomically accurate. When you see someone's face from the front, unless indeed their ears stick out a lot, you just don't see that much of their ears from this front view. And let's go ahead and I was talking about how the chin is not as pointy, and indeed I'm kind of exaggerating it, but it is, if you see a squared off chin in a manga, chances are you are looking at a shonen, boys-oriented, action-oriented comic. Because that idea of the lantern jaw, the squared off jaw, just does not really turn up that much in manga. Oh, I said the neck gets thicker. Notice how that point where the jawline heads into the cheek, that will help you to create a guideline of a thicker neck, which is a great way of defining a male character, or making, emphasizing the masculinity of a character, is to give that character a thicker neck. But I think we've kind of got the basics of it. How about if I do, just to help those of you who are interested in the details of the eyes, I'm going to refocus this, zoom in on the eyes. We'll do that real time. And then, sadly, I think the rest of it we're going to have to zoom through in time-lapse. But let's go ahead and refocus to get the details of the eyes. Now, one of the big differences that I notice between shoujo and shonen is in terms of the iris, the drawing of the iris within the eye. Very often in the shoujo style, it gets quite fancy in terms of there being lots of highlights and cross-hatching and details. And then in shonen, again, don't like to generalize, but in shonen, very often there's just a dot for the pupil and no other detail in terms of the eyes. So that is quite a big difference, and a time saver, to be honest. When you're drawing a shonen comic, you don't have to spend all that time laboring over the details of the eyes. And you can see me, I think they just end up being more angular in general, these eyes, than the shoujo variety. And I'm going to go ahead and get the eyebrows in here. People sort of laugh because whenever I draw a male character in my videos, they always have this very intense, tough guy kind of a look. And then when I do a female character, they've always got the happy, smiley face. As if there's only two different types of characters, the happy female character and the intense, tough, angry male character. Maybe I need to widen my horizons a little bit in that regard. But I think we're probably going to need to wind this video down. Sorry if I zoom through a lot of this too quickly for the tastes of some of you out there who like to follow along in kind of real time almost. But I think it is time to sort of speed things along to get to the end of the video. So I'm going to pull back, refocus so you can see everything, and zoom through the rest of this in time-lapse. Okay, well, there you have it, my video comparing the shoujo and the shonen styles. I hope you found it useful, though some of you may be thinking, Crilly, what? No blushies? You gonna try to sneak out of here without doing the blushies? What gives? So I'm going to go ahead and add blushies here to the shoujo character. I don't think the shonen characters have them so much, but I could be wrong about that. Leave me a comment if I am. But I do want to thank anyone who has supported me by getting one of my graphic novel series. We got Brody's Ghost, we got Miki Falls, and we got my How to Draw Manga book, Mastering Manga. I really do appreciate your support. Thanks so much for subscribing, for leaving comments, for spreading the word about my videos. I really do appreciate it. But I'm going to go ahead and lay the pencil down. I want to thank you all for watching this video. I hope you found it useful, and I'll be back with another one real soon.